let's quickly hit some of the top stories from the weekend. Let's start with the Giants. They opened up the Cactus League schedule on Friday night versus the Cubs in Scottsdale. And then they played the Rockies on Saturday and the Reds on Sunday. What was your big takeaway from opening weekend, Larry?
Well, I mean, I think my takeaway is probably the same as everybody else. I mean, Friday night, Logan Webb was awesome. I mean, he's an ace. He's a true number one. And he's really improved out of the stretch. I mean, to me, he was the brightest spot of the 2021 season by far. And he showed up in Arizona in just great shape. And he looked great Friday night against the Cubs. He pitched 2 innings. He struck out 5. He had 30 pitches, did not allow a run. And he looked awesome. He really did. Now, this guy's 25. He's now one of the elite sinker ballers in all of baseball. And he's a true battler. He will battle you on the mound. He's got strikeout stuff. He gets ground balls. And you look at this rotation. They've got DeSclafani. They've got Alex Wood. They've got Carlos Rodon. They've got a bunch of other guys who will join the mix. But Logan Webb's the ace. He is the ace of this staff going forward. And he's one of the best young right-handed pitchers in the game. So if you said, what's my big takeaway from opening weekend? Logan Webb has emerged as, Giants had Gausman and Webb last year. Now they don't have Gausman, but Webb looks very much like he's ready to front this staff.
You're known to go deeper than most people on the Giants. Give me your spring training sleeper player that the Giants fans should watch out for.
Yeah, people always rip me and say, you love the esoteric and the guy that nobody else likes. But I'll tell you, remember this name, Alex Blandino. And Alex Blandino played at Stanford. He was a great hitter in college. First-round pick by Cincinnati in 2014. This is a guy who played 2 years in the Cape Cod League, the Wooden Bat League, and was a Cape Cod League All-Star. And then the A's drafted him out of St. Francis High School in the 38th round in 2011, and he decided to go, get his degree and go to Stanford, and it was probably a good call because he was really great in college, and then wound up being a first-round pick out of college. And then, you're talking about a great young hitter who can play second, play third, great hand-eye coordination, and then, he makes his major league debut in 2018. They drafted him in 2014. So by 2018, he's ready to make his major league debut. What does he do? He tears his ACL in 2018. That cost him all of 2018, a lot of 2019. Then he fractured his right hand last year and was limited to only 43 games. This is a guy who was a great college hitter and just hasn't done it in the pros. He's a 226 career hitter, which is not a good average. Giants signed him to a minor league deal in December, and he's a versatile player. He can play first, second, short, third, left, right. Heck, he can even pitch. He struck out Kurt Casale last year with a nasty knuckleball. And this is an interesting guy. He played for Team Nicaragua in the World Baseball Classic in 2017. He said his dream as a kid. I mean, this is really cool stuff. Blandino's dream as a kid, Len, was to play for the Giants. He grew up in the Bay Area. He wanted to play for the Giants. His heroes were Omar Vizquel and Rich Aurelia. And, the profile on Blandino is he knows the zone. So, he doesn't fish. He doesn't go for a bunch of pitches off the plate. He sees a ton of pitches. Last year, he saw 4.2 pitches per plate appearance. That would have led the Giants. The Giants were led last year by Yaz, who saw 3.9 per at-bat. So this guy grinds pitchers. He's got a good approach at the plate. He's a line drive hitter. And he had a couple hits in the game over the weekend. As I said, he's very versatile. I think he's now 29 years of age. I think this guy's going to have a couple decent years in the big leagues, and it could start right here. So remember that name, Alex Blandino.
Any Giants prospect catch your eye this weekend?
There was one, Len, and it was Brett Auerbach. Brett Auerbach played catcher. He can play center field. I mean, how many guys can play catcher, center field, and third base? That's and second base. This kid's an interesting kid. He's got a nice right-handed power stroke. He's 23. He hasn't played above A ball, and he's tiny, right? He's like 5'9", but he's really powerful with a line drive stroke. Played JC ball at Saddleback College in Mission Viejo down in Southern California, where he was born. And, he's just one of these guys. I mean, he's got a balanced swing. He's got kind of a center field, right field approach. he's kind of an old school hustler type of a player. I mean, we all saw Pete Rose. This guy's got a little bit of Pete Rose. Rockies drafted him, believe it or not, in 2018 in the 40th round out of Alabama. He played well at Alabama. His final year at Bama, he hit 388. But they always say, with baseball players, the last thing to come is power. And that's really the case. He worked on his swing with a guy named Chris Welch, who worked on his swing mechanics. And Auerbach hit 342 at San Jose to begin his minor league career. He's got power. He's got speed. Last year, he hit 288 with 17 home runs, 56 RBIs, and 30 steals in only 37 attempts. So this is in only 87 games. That's roughly half a year. He had 39 extra base hits in what amounted to about a half year in A-ball. Now, he's still in A-ball, still has to conquer Double-A, still has to conquer Triple-A. But he's a real catcher. And they asked Gabe Kapler about him, and he's like, yeah, this guy's a real defensive catcher who's athletic enough to play second and athletic enough to play center field. So that's a real value, Len, because when you can have teams want to carry a third catcher, but that third catcher's got to be versatile, and he's got to be an offensive player who can hit and run. And this guy can do it. He's a good defensive player. He can play other spots, and he can hit. Kapler said he was very calm behind the plate. Last year, he played 40 games at second base, 23 at catcher, 7 in the outfield, 6 at third base. But what I really love is he's a grinder, man. Kid's got great work ethic. He hustles like crazy, versatile as hell. He's 23. So he still hasn't played Double-A ball. So this Cactus League is going to be huge for him, and this maybe first half of the season in Double-A can be huge for him. But let's just say he has a good first half. I would not be surprised if Brett Auerbach was a name that you saw at Oracle Park this summer. And you Giants fans are going to love this kid because he runs, he's got speed, he's got power. He's a tiny little guy, but man, he's got fire and intensity. So remember that name, Brett Auerbach, because he's going to be in San Francisco soon.
The Giants lost out on free agent hitter Trevor Story. They chased him, but lost out to the Red Sox. Story got 6 years and $140 million. What should they do now?
Well, they still need a bat. It's like I tweeted about this over the weekend. I mean, like, as all Giants fans, we're a little torn, right? Because on one hand, we love Farhan. They were projected to win 80 games last year. They won 107. So, it was one of the great baseball seasons any of us have ever witnessed. And Farhan, we believe in Farhan. But this team on paper, Len, looks pretty bad as far as their offense in this lineup. So they don't have to have Trevor Story. It doesn't bother me that much that they didn't sign Trevor Story. Why? Because Trevor Story is one of these guys that's awesome in Denver and pretty average outside of Denver. If you look at his numbers, he's like a 240 hitter outside of Denver. So he signed with Boston. Good luck to him. But to me, that was big risk to take that hitter out of Denver and hope that he was going to replicate. I mean, $140 million for a 240 hitting guy, that would be, that could have been a problem. Now, the Giants still have a problem because the free agent market is starting to dry up a little bit, and they still need a bat. I mean, they need a significant stick in this lineup. Now, the guy that can be had, if you believe the rumor mill, is Jose Ramirez from the Indians, or now the Cleveland Guardians. He's a great young player. He can play third, he can play second, he rakes, you can hit him 3, 4, or 5 in a lineup. It's going to cost you a ton. It may cost you Hunter Bishop and Sean Jelly or some combination of top 10 prospects. But you know what? Man, Jose Ramirez is worth it. I mean, there's all kinds of prospects. The world is littered with failed prospects. So, find 2 prospects that you like but don't love, maybe 3, and flip them to Cleveland for Jose Ramirez. That'll be my plan. Ramirez has a couple years left on his contract. It's a very reasonable contract. He would instantly become the Giants' most dangerous power hitter the first day he showed up in the clubhouse. I know it's easy to say, go trade for Jose Ramirez. It's harder to go actually do it and figure out what prospects you want to part with. But if I'm them, and Cleveland's willing to deal, hell yes. Bring me Jose Ramirez, and I'll send you a couple top prospects.
Warriors big man James Wiseman is now battling swelling in his surgically repaired knee. What's your level of concern, Larry? That sounds
major. I have huge levels of concern. I had no concern coming into this weekend, but when I saw Anthony Slater-Lynn this weekend tweet out that, Wiseman, who hasn't played all year, is now having more swelling in that knee, that's a nightmare for the Warriors. This guy had surgery a long time ago on his meniscus. And, then he had a scope to kind of clean it up. I was hoping, I was praying that this kid is not the next Greg Oden, who had microfracture knee problems and career washed out before he could ever get it rolling. But now I am genuinely concerned. It sounds like he's not going to play anymore this year. It sounds like they're now looking at alternative big man options for the stretch, which of course there are very few, if any, maybe none out there. I won't even begin to speculate as who potentially they could add to fill his shoes. But this goes beyond the replacement. This is more about the fact that they invested a top 3 pick in, a player who at this point looks like damaged goods. He only played 3 games in college. Now he's got a recurring knee problem, swelling he can't get rid of. I mean, this is now a problem. This kid's, got a lot of talent. What they need him to do, he can easily do. But he can't do it if you can't get out there. Bob Myers said it a long time ago. The greatest ability is availability. And this kid right now doesn't have availability to the team. So, yeah, I mean, as far as do the Warriors need him this year? Yeah, they do. So if they don't have Wiseman, I don't think they can win a title. So that's bad news. But the bigger issue is this kid and his future and the huge asset that he is for this franchise. I guess you got to sit him down. You got to figure it out, quiet the knee down, figure out what's causing the swelling, and try it again. But, yeah, for the first time, I up to this point, zero concern. I always thought, okay, he'll get on the court. He'll be fine. Now I've got major concerns because the NBA in the last 4 decades has more than 1 or 2 guys who were big men who ran the floor, great talents, incredible future, and it just all crapped out because they couldn't get on the floor. They couldn't stay on the floor because they couldn't be healthy. And if that's this kid's deal, it's one of the biggest busts in the history of the NBA draft. So, yeah, my level of concern, am I putting this, plainly enough? I have a major level of concern about James Wiseman. I'm hoping, but at this point, I'm concerned.
That sounds like you're concerned.
I'm very concerned.
49ers met with UAB defensive end Alex Wright at the Combine in Indianapolis. I know you know Wright. What do you think of him?
I mean, this guy's incredible. I mean, he's a big kid. He's like 6'5", 6'6", about 270. And if you watch him at UAB, he comes flying off the edge. He's got really long arms, 34-inch arms, huge hands, just a big pass rusher. This is a great draft for pass rushers. And the Niners, sounds like they're going to lose Arden Key in free agency. That kind of nugget came out this weekend. It looks like he's leaving. So they lose Key. They've still got D Ford, who's glass. He can't get on the field. So they're looking for somebody opposite Bosa in this draft. And, man, here are 10 guys to look for. Alex Wright, UAB, he's one of them. Jeffrey Gunter, Coastal Carolina, another guy, about 270, one of my favorites. Myjai Sanders played at Cincinnati. Niners met with him at the Combine. Another guy comes flying off the edge. Sam Williams runs in the 4.5s and 4.6s out of Ole Miss. He's intriguing. They met with a kid out of Miami, Ohio, named Dominic Robinson, who's another edge rusher who's just really exciting with raw tools and a lot of upside. Boye Mafe ran in the 4.5s out of Minnesota. He's impressive. Michael Clemens has some off-field issues for Texas A&M. He's in this draft. D'Angelo Malone. What a great name that is, D'Angelo Malone. Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Malone's a great pass rusher. A little undersized, about 245. But he's special. DeMarcus Mitchell is a JC kid from Florida who played at Purdue. Really like DeMarcus Mitchell. And then one guy who can kind of play inside or outside is Logan Hall from Houston. And I love Logan Hall, whether he's an interior rusher, nickel rusher, 3 technique, 5 technique, defensive end, defensive tackle. I'm not sure where Logan Hall plays, but his motor's incredible and he hunts quarterbacks. So those are 10 guys right there. And there's more than that in this draft. But those 10 guys I would imagine the Niners wind up with 1 or if not 2 of those 10 guys come, the April 28th weekend of the NFL draft.